Welcome to the Hard Water Fishing Show. Jeff and Jason talk tactics, gear, and ice fishing legends.
All right, welcome back to the Hard Water Fishing Show. It is Season 6, Episode 7, and it's the third week of November 2022. And there's ice fishing happening all over the ice belt, but there just is. At the very, 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 very top of the ice belt.
Yes, it's the very earliest of ice fishing.
It snowed where I'm at today.
It snowed a lot here.
Did it?
In Minnesota, it snowed a lot. Well, I would say an average snowfall, but the first one is always harder, the first one.
Yeah. You know, I had told you the river by my house had froze over, and of course then that went away after a couple of days. We had warm weather. But hopefully we got to be getting close down here.
Yes, it's close. And did you see the weather?
It's cold.
We're talking teens below zero next week.
It'll happen. It'll happen all over here pretty fast. So So anyway, before we get too far down the road, we have on our show tonight, we have Jenny Anderson, who goes by the handle of Girl of 10,000 Lakes in her Instagram and social media. And so she's come to chat with us tonight. It's a great interview, so stay tuned for that. And there's a Christmas present idea for people.
Yeah, and we even have a link. She's going to give us a link for her book.
Now you ruined it. I was going to let it be a surprise. Gosh. All right. Well, you'll have to listen to the rest of the interview to find out what the book's about.
Yes. All right.
Jeff, what do you
preview?
I know you can't help yourself, buddy. You can't help yourself.
Are you saying it's when there's a movie and the trailer shows the whole movie that you don't go see the movie? It's not like that.
It's not like that at all. No, the trailer did not ruin the movie.
We did not give away the best parts.
We did not. We're going to move on before you release more before we get to the interview.
The third trailer, the fourth trailer.
So, what are you drinking tonight, Jeff?
Okay, well, I'm out of Texas beer.
Oh, thank God.
My brother-in-law came over for Thanksgiving, which was nice of him, and he brings me all the beers that he won't drink.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Hey, I don't like these ones.
I've got some of those in my basement. How long are they good for, do you think? I mean,
it's older than 12 months. I don't want to say.
Oh, no, it's well within. I'll bring it up when I come up. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I put it in my fridge. We'll talk about them on the show.
Perfect. It's from when we did when I tried all the carpet beer.
Yeah, I actually have a neighbor.
I don't remember how long ago that was. I think it was last season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if it's over a year old.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. I mean, it can't taste worse.
So I have a neighbor who, you know what seltzers are, right, Jason?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get out once in a while.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Did I insult you?
No, not at all. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So, when you buy these seltzers, they come in like 6-packs or 12-packs, and they have their variety packs all the time, right? And everybody I know that buys the variety pack, there's always one flavor they don't like.
True.
There's the good flavors, and then there's the, I don't know, spicy wheat or whatever.
I think that's why they do variety packs, to try to get rid of the ones nobody buys.
And if you buy the kind you like, they actually cost more, so you get sucked into buying the variety pack with the ones you don't like because it seems cheaper, but it's not.
Correct.
All of the neighbors who drink seltzers, who aren't all women, but tend to be women who drink these seltzers.
Or have women-like qualities.
Yes, right. And they collect their unwanted seltzers and give them to my one neighbor, and he drinks them all.
Who I just insulted.
Yes.
Does he listen to the show?
I don't think so, but
good.
He wouldn't care.
Okay.
He wouldn't care. He does go ice fishing, though.
Well, good. Well, then I take back all the things I said.
He won't just drink the ones that people don't like. He also will drink expired ones. So I guess they don't hurt you if you drink them.
It doesn't hurt you.
I mean, don't take my advice. Use the FDA or somebody else who tells you when it is expired. But
is it the FDA or is it the USDA or is it I don't know who it is. labels beer.
I don't know, but I suppose I better read my label.
Moving on.
Moving on from seltzers and expired beer, I am drinking from Bent Paddle Brewery in Duluth, Minnesota.
Yeah, good one.
It's a Munich-style Dunkel Lager.
Dunkel Lager?
Dunkel Lager. Yeah,
You need a
Dunkel
T-shirt that says that. I love Dunkel Lager.
And this is 100% of our water comes from Lake Superior, I think.
Hope they
I can't read the
filter.
can, but
I hope they filter it. That beer 10% alcohol?
yummy. No, it is not 10%.
Okay,
It's
it's
like
like
4 or 6.
10%. Holy crap!
There is a beer called 1050. 1050.
Up.
It is
Hard pass.
10.5% alcohol. I believe it's called 1050. 1050 or something like that.
Yeah, so I have a beer from Exile Brewery, and it has a story.
Very nice.
And this Exile Brewing is actually a company in Des Moines, Iowa, and it is called the Ruthie and Gold Lager. They are supporting. There's a thing here. I'm going to read you if I can. It's small. All right. You see me putting my glasses here at the end of my nose.
I just see that. If you could see this right now. he put him down to the end of his nose and he's reading it. I know it's hard to read.
I know, but just don't be mean. All right. This is my lot in life. All right. So this is the Pink Ruthie Project. $1 is donated per case in support of Casting for Recovery Iowa program. Casting for Recovery promotes healing outdoor retreats for women with breast cancer at no cost to the participants. Anyway, the retreats offer opportunities for women to find inspiration, discovery, renewed energy for life, and experience healing and connections with women and nature, other women in nature. Casting for Recovery in Iowa. So I thought that was pretty neat. Oh no.
It's not a twist off. What are you going to do, Jason?
Oh, hang on. I'll be right back.
It's not a twist off. We got to get the can opener.
No, I can't do that. That was a bad idea.
There's a story there.
The desk
But you
is
get
not.
your-
The desk is not very solid. Let's just say that.
You tried to open it on the desk.
Yeah. Hopefully, I don't get charged for that. That's going to be bad. All right, I'll be back. I got to find a way to open this beer.
All right. Oh, looks like we have success.
Okay,
Jason, so you got it open.
that was quite the ordeal.
So explain to me what you do when you're stuck with a non-twist off bottle without a can opener. What do you do?
Well, some people probably have more ability than I do, but so I'm in a hotel room today. So I had to find a hard enough surface. So I used the hinge on the door.
Hinge on the door. All right.
Just put it on the hinge and hit the top, knocks the top off.
That's awesome. I'm glad you got that open. And now our listeners have a new way to open a beer.
Not right.
However, are you going to tell the story of the first time you showed me how to do that in our dorm room?
I don't remember this story.
Oh my gosh, really?
Did I break the top of the bottle off?
Yes. So Jason,
I was very
being
young.
really
I was very young.
being really cool.
I was cool.
We're in our dorm room, and he is trying to impress his new, city slicker roommate because he's from Iowa. I don't know. I'm making that part up. Maybe he didn't care about impressing me, but
Just wanted to open the beer. Probably.
but he goes, "We don't have a beer opener. Look at this." And he took the beer and took the bottle cap and put it on the edge of the dresser and hit it, and the bottle broke.
It shattered everywhere.
It went everywhere.
I know,
It was a mess.
and I've opened beers like that all the time when I don't have a bottle opener. No, I don't. It was probably cheap glass Busch Light or something.
Oh, guaranteed it was Busch Light. Anyways. So that's how you open a beer if you don't have a beer opener.
Yeah, there's other ways, but that's the only way I know.
Well, we covered beer pretty well.
And it's a good
here,
beer.
so
It's a good beer.
good. Yeah, I was going to say too, reading that beer would be something I would definitely support. I know cancer is certainly something that I've dealt with him, not me personally, but in
Yeah,
my family,
absolutely.
in my life, and
Yeah.
always glad to support cancer, any kind of cancer charity. So that's awesome.
Well, and I like the fact that it's about helping people find that emotional healing that's a real important component. So
I think we're ready to move from beer to patrons.
sounds good.
So we're saying thank you to our patrons and all patrons. And also we have a special patron spotlight. Our patron of the show, who is Matthew K. You might know him, Jason.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. And what I know is he's a wonderful supporter of the show, and he also is really someone in need of the content on this show.
He needs. That's awesome.
So he should review the show frequently and often.
Show business, Jason. I changed up show business a little bit here. Do you want to walk us through it?
All right, the best places to interact with us are on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find us on TikTok, and that's at HWFS17. There's 17 other HWFSs out there?
No, so that's the year that we started our podcast.
Oh.
I couldn't get
Got
any
it.
of the common. I couldn't get any of the common things that I would try to get. I tried Hardwater Show, or I don't know. I couldn't get them, so this is the best I could do. So,
Okay. HWFS17 is our TikTok handle thing. Anyway, that's our TikTok. You can find at.
It's an at.
Our at. It's our at. You can find our website at hardwatershow.com, on YouTube at hardwatershow, and you can email us at hardwatershow@gmail. And then the Linktree thing, which nobody understands but Jeff. But it's there.
It has all the links on it. You can go to one place for all the links.
Yeah. Or you can just listen to the show and write them down on your piece of paper.
Yeah, nobody writes them down.
But you
They're in
could.
their car driving. They're in their car driving. They're not writing
They
things
can just
down.
go, hey, Siri, take a note.
Uh-oh. You just made everybody's Siri go crazy.
And not to be left out, hey, Google. Oh, shit. My phone just went off. All right. Darn it.
Serves you right.
So funny story.
Serves you
When I
right.
was with my older brother the other day, he has Siri and it's always trained to the people's voice, but my voice is enough like his voice. I could use his phone.
That's awesome.
Like, hey Siri, add Celine Dion to my playlist
From Titanic.
from Titanic. Yeah. All right.
All right, show business. So we got through show business. That was good.
Fact checks.
Ooh, we do have one fact check.
We do. And just a reminder, all our listeners, please make sure when you send in your fact checks, you do so within a week. Otherwise, at least before we record our next show, because once the show is recorded, everything we said on the previous show is accepted and will forever be accepted as the absolute truth if it's not been challenged. I like this new rule.
We're starting to have rules on the show now.
It's mainly for Dave. He's got to call within a couple of weeks, otherwise it's out. He's out.
Northwoods Dave's got to start listening.
So Michael H. He's not in CrossFit apparently.
Yes, he was really excited that we had we talked about his question about ice camping last time and where to go.
Oh yeah. I remember.
He just
now.
wanted to say he told me he does not do CrossFit, but tries real hard to stay in shape, which I also tried hard. It's hard to stay in shape.
And I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to fact check my efforts. It's about Michael's, and he's not in CrossFit.
Did he tell you if he made a decision where to go?
He didn't. He's still considering it, but he didn't say it. But he said he thought the Red Door sounded nice.
Yeah, so he's willing to walk 2 miles in Crocs
No Crocs, no.
and socks.
He won't have to walk 2 miles at Red Door. I'm sure of it.
All right. So listener news. I like your new handle here. Listener news, because we put our listeners first, which we do 20 minutes into the show after we get through beer and fact checks.
I don't know why I put that.
But we do eventually. We put our listeners first. We put our listeners first in listener news.
The other stuff is just
It's just warm up. It's just warm up.
It's just warm up.
Got to warm everybody. You got to warm the room up a little bit.
That's right.
So, can I introduce this one?
Yeah.
So we're going to get this on our social media, but we got a nice email from Zen Master, and he sent us a heck of a trout, a nice tiger trout. That is a beautiful fish, and it's his personal best. Caught it in Utah, at 10,000 feet elevation on a Simcoe bug tipped with a waxworm. Have you ever seen these Simcoe bugs?
I don't know what a Simcoe bug is.
It's kind of this. It's a lure. It looks like a waxwormy looking bug thing with a head on it. I'm going to Google it quick so I make sure I don't misrepresent
So
it.
is it a fly fishing type of lure?
It kind of is. So Simcoe bug it's kind of like a little larva looking thing with a head on it. I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at that now. It's interesting how the hook is more curved.
Yeah.
So, most hooks I use are usually, let's say it looks like a J. This looks more like a C almost, right? Like a circle. The plastic part of it is clear, and then there's a small jig head, but it's round on the top, and then the hook goes right through the middle.
Yeah.
So this one glows, and it's tungsten.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the one he caught it on, but that's what a Simcoe bug is, because I don't know if some of our Midwest listeners. There's a guy that sells these Simcoe bugs like on Facebook, like on the Iowa fishing pages. He always is selling some of these handmade ones, and I've kind of eyeballed them. They look kind of like if I was a fish, I might eat it, but I'm not a fish, so who knows?
I wouldn't eat it. It's got a big hook in it.
If I was a fish, though, I wouldn't know that. So, but anyway, we really, really want to thank him for sending that in, and we'll get those pictures up. And we always appreciate when people share their awesome fishing outings with us, and share cool pictures of fish. We love it. So thank you for doing that, sir.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these fish, Jay. I mean, they're yellow. It looks like a lake trout, kind of like I've seen a lake trout look for before, but the colors are totally different. It's very yellow.
Yeah, and did you see that Ian sent us a picture of a tiger trout as well?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I think it's to figure out. I think it's on the Instagram message as well. He had sent us some pictures, so we'll have to get his up as well. So,
and I mean, I've never caught a fish at 10,000 feet. That would be cool at elevation.
No, if I'm 10,000 feet where I'm at, I'm in a plane.
I might have to do some more CrossFit though. Before
I'm in a plane. If I'm eating fish,
feet.
it's because they're serving fish sticks on the airplane, which I wouldn't eat. I probably would because I have very low standards, but I probably should.
I would say though, in this picture, it looks so cool.
It looks so cool.
We gotta someday, Jason. We need to get to the mountains in the West and try this fishing. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, I agree completely. So we'll have to put that on the bucket list,
or next year,
or just on the list. I don't like putting things on a bucket list.
I think next year. I think we have to try for next year.
All right, we better start planning.
It has to. Yep. This year it won't happen, but next year I think we need to fish at elevation for trout.
I'm not committing, but I'm with you.
It's like a goal, but if you don't say it's going to happen,
can we do it in 3 days?
Sure.
Okay, then I'm in. I mean, how far can Wyoming be?
I think a plane ride would be involved if we're getting.
Oh, now you're talking. That's quitter talk. Okay.
So we also got some other pictures from Wyoming. Jake from Wyoming sent some really nice perch and a walleye, and I think that's a walleye in there. Is that a walleye or is that a trout? Some perch and a really nice perch. Actually, there's a really nice one in there, probably like a 12 or 13.
No, that's a trout, Jeff.
That's a trout. Well, it's kind of upside down.
That's a trout.
Okay. Well,
good Lord.
I mean, it's not like I can see the whole thing. I know what a trout versus a walleye looks like, but the picture is not as clear as it could.
So it's roughly. I just did a quick Google. Let's give it around 20 hours to Utah.
To drive
to Utah. Yeah.
To fish in elevation.
So that's fine. We can drive out Friday, we can fish Saturday, and drive home Sunday.
Like you drive 10 hours, I drive 10 hours?
Yeah.
Each way?
Yeah.
That's...
We'll have to commandeer the Prius again.
yeah. Yes. Does it go to 10,000 feet, or will it?
Oh, yeah.
Up the hill?
No, it'll go just fine. No worries.
Do you use the power button on the Prius?
The new one doesn't have a power button.
Oh.
It's a
We're
mode.
going to get up to the mountain.
I don't know. It's got snow tires on it. It'll be fine.
I suspect we've veered from
Listener news.
Yeah, anyway, so Jake, thanks for sending those in. He actually had another picture here with his daughter out on the ice, she's probably pretty young. I would say 5 or something.
I don't know. Hard to tell. She's certain.
She's smiling, and they caught a fish.
They're fishing. Yeah, they're fishing, and they're having a great time, and that's what it's all about. That's phenomenal. So thank you for sending those pictures in as well.
I'm going to throw an audible in here, Jay. It's not even in the listener news. But I got a call this weekend from, I forget what we decided. It's the original Ole, or it's Ole's brother, right? Ole's older brother, who we usually call Ole on the show, but he also goes by Ole, so it gets a bit confusing.
Ole's big Ole? Doesn't sound
yeah.
right either.
I know. I think it was like, it's like the OG Ole or something like that.
Well, I thought their dad was the OG Ole.
Oh gosh, we're gonna need some clarification on the fact checking on this one.
We'll see if we get it. Otherwise, we'll just we'll make it up, and he'll have to tell us. We'll call him do you think he's the OG, or do you think the old man Ole's the dad there is the original?
We're gonna have to get a judgment call on this. I really don't know where to go with this. But anyways, Ole, who's not the Ole we've had in the show, called and was looking for some advice because he had been borrowing the other Ole's. Now it sounds like who's on first here. The other Ole's fishing gear, and he had retrieved his fishing gear, so now he had to get his own fishing gear.
Oh.
So he was kind of like pulling a Jason, where he had other people's gear that he was using for a while, but now it was time
It's a good game until it doesn't work anymore.
He has to get some new fishing gear, including an auger and a house. So the advice that I gave him was he has some drills and stuff, so he already has some way to drill. And I really like your pistol bit that you use. Ask him a pistol bit. I'm like, I would buy one of those things all day long if you were looking to re-gear.
I knew I should have called him back. Darn it.
The other thing we talked about was he wanted an ice shack, and he said a hub or a flip over. And I told him, really, I think he'll probably end up getting a flip over. To me, the reason we talked about this was how many people. I said, are you fishing with a bunch of people, or are you fishing with 1 or 2 people? He's like, probably just me and his wife. And I'm like, I would get a flip over.
Absolutely.
Way more portable. If you had like some kids or grandkids or wanted to have a little more people, I think hubs work better. But yeah, so he called me, and that was kind of an audible.
Did you give him like a brand? Did you give him like a size or considerations, like what kind of door he wants, what kind of insulated, non-insulated? Did you give him anything else other than just buy a flip over?
No, we totally talked about that.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure you didn't lead him down a road.
I recommended that he get an Otter 2-man, not the biggest one. I said a medium-sized one, right? Like a good 2-man. Actually, Northwoods Dave has one that's exactly what I think you would get. They're super sturdy, they're insulated, and I don't think weight was a big consideration for him because otters are heavy. But if you don't have to worry about how much it weighs, typically you're going to put it in the back of your truck or something.
How's he getting it out on the ice?
I'm assuming his pickup truck.
Oh, so he's not going to go out. He's not going to go out until it freezes enough to drive on.
I mean, that was my impression.
Okay.
Right? But I could be wrong, but that was my impression.
All right.
The one thing I did say, he said, some have different insulation and thermal. I don't know if you agree with this, but I said thermal in fish houses doesn't really... I've never seen, the otter thermal is better than the clam thermal, is better than the Eskimo thermal. I mean, I'm sure there's some differences, but if it's thermal, I've always been pretty happy with it, and it's kept me warm.
I would agree with that.
There's a bunch of different technologies out there. Some of them have quilting. Some of them don't show quilting. I don't know. If it has insulation, my experience has been it's plenty good. Whether it's how heavy it is, hasn't made a big difference.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I told him, get an Otter 2-person, not the, I think it's called the Resort, that weighs like, it really is a 3-person. It's a giant one. It's the Otter.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to be able to get it in the pickup.
Yeah, I think it's Otter Lodge.
Yeah,
the one
that's huge.
It's a little smaller.
No, the lodge is smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know the cottage is maybe too small. That's more of a one-person jump seat.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
So that's what the original Ole called.
I should have called him back. Maybe I can still intercept him. All right, I'll give him a call.
That is listener news. So time to move on to current events, Jay.
Yeah, so we have the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show coming up this weekend if you're in Minnesota. And, I mean, it's always a good time. There's also, I would, again, give a shout-out that you should attend some seminars if you can. Obviously, you want to look at the all the goodies to see if there's anything you can't live without. But the real treat for these ice fishing shows, in my mind, is the chance to go to these seminars. So just to kind of, I mean, the amount of seminars at this show are significant. So you've got, I mean, everything from rigging and jigging plastics, pan fishing, fishing certain lakes, walleye fishing specific, tip-up fishing, patterning walleyes, big water walleyes, hot trends for panfish. I'm just breezing through some of these. Hot trends for big panfish is put on by Jason Mitchell. There's a big name in ice fishing. And there's a bunch of other ones too that are just kind of the who's who of ice fishing. So I'd really recommend, come look at the stuff, but also certainly hit those seminars. Everybody sits there and they'll watch YouTube videos on different fishing. They listen to our podcast, and just I would say the chance to get out and talk and go to these seminars and raise your hand and ask a question if you have one is just invaluable.
Yeah, the seminars I went to, that last one, I mean, we talked about on the last show. I mean, I learned so much, and there's always more to learn. And nobody knows everything, right? I mean, you're always going to learn something if you sit there and listen. You might know a few things or be like, I don't know if that's for me, but if you listen, you're going to learn some things and go, I should try that. I should try that. Unless you're catching so many fish that you just don't know what to do with yourself.
Not a problem either one of us has. Most days.
It's not a problem I have, right? I mean, I don't go, gosh, I catch too many fish, so I probably don't need any more tips.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we may be in attendance. It's still kind of on the bubble. We may or may not be there. I'm not sure when we'll be there, so, if you happen to be there, I guess you can look for us, possibly.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a game time decision, and I know for me, I want to go, but I also may have an opportunity to ice fish that day instead of going to the show. And so those opportunities are so cherished to actually go fishing that I probably would forego the show. It's probably about one of the only things I would forego the show to do. But I may do that. So we'll see. Time will tell. If you see us there, we're there. And if we're not, we're probably going to have a fishing report for you.
Well, you probably might get a fishing report from one and maybe a show report from me. So that's probably how it's going to end up.
Divide and conquer.
That's right.
Okay. So more to come on that down the road. You'll have to listen to the next podcast to find out what in the heck we did. So we'll just leave you with a little intrigue.
On the next show, we will talk about ice fishing or ice fishing show, maybe.
Yep, there you go. And what other random crap we talk about. All right, Jeff, what's our next thing here? Oh, this is a good one. This is your outdoor news again.
I love my outdoor news.
You do.
So much good information.
We don't have a sponsor, right? We don't, and we've not actively looked for a sponsor for the show because we kind of want to keep it. Just we want to be able to do and talk whatever we want to talk about. But I really think Outdoor News should at least send you a free copy once in a while.
Well, you can get a free copy at the show.
Oh, do you? Well, there you go.
They have a booth. They have stacks of them. You can pick one up.
You should have them listen to our podcast and see if maybe they'll send you a free subscription.
It comes on Friday, and usually I read the whole thing. I read it in one sitting. Now, I will be honest with the Outdoor News. It's outdoor news, right? It's not just about fishing. And I pay attention a lot more to the fishing than I do to the hunting, but there's a lot of hunting stuff in there too. So,
and I think what's kind of cool about it, in the day of electronic stuff, right? This is still paper.
It is. It's paper. It's a newspaper that comes to my door every week, and it's really not very expensive.
And you can put it in your bathroom or in your library or on your coffee table. put the phone down, pick the paper up. And then if you need to clean fish, you can clean fish on it when you're done reading it.
I've done that before.
So it's like full circle.
Because really, if you need newspaper these days,
it's difficult.
It's hard to come by.
It really is. You have to use the shopper.
We don't have a shopper.
You don't shove a shopper in your mailbox.
Nope.
No, we still have shoppers, so we hoard the shopper for newspaper needs.
Now we're going to get to the point of why we read the outdoor news. It's the Keep It Clean campaign. Jason, we've all seen this recently, and it's become somewhat of a problem about how to keep your garbage off the ice. Right? We want to be good stewards of nature, and we want to leave things how we found them, and we need to clean up our stuff when we leave the ice.
Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff. If you brought it out, take it back. I would say the one thing too, just try to keep it neat and clean as you can, and even bait. Sometimes people just throw bait out on the ice, and really you shouldn't do that. You should chuck it in the garbage bag instead of throwing it out on the ice.
Some resorts do have, depends on where you're staying or how you're getting on the ice, but they kind of had a few points. And the first one is to make a plan, right? Have a plan of what you're going to do with that garbage that you're going to bring out there that you're going to produce. And some resorts might have garbage, available to throw it in. Some might not, but you just need to take it with you.
Yeah, please do.
They had a couple other tips, like use colored bags.
That's a good one.
The white bags can kind of blend into the snow and, can cause problems.
I think they're giving people the benefit of the doubt on that one. Oh, they must have just thought it blended in with the snow. No, they didn't want to put their poop in their car and take it home with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But do it anyway.
Yes.
Bring a bucket.
Yes.
Bring a 5-gallon pail. Put the bags in the bucket. Put the lid on the thing and take it home with you and throw it in the garbage.
There were some lakes and some resorts that actually had some brightly colored bags that had been donated by this organization available to do that at certain, like Lake of the Woods or some big places.
Very cool.
The next, keep garbage off the ice. They said just don't put it on the ice. Like, even in a bag, you might forget it, so put it in your bucket pickup or somewhere where it's not going to blow away.
Help keep it clean so we can have nice things.
Yeah, the last one to make sense, and they talked a little bit about this because I have a wheelhouse. When you put a wheelhouse out there, sometimes you put blocks of wood up there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those blocks of wood can get stuck in the ice, so bring a ice chisel or a spud bar, whatever you choose, something to get it out of the ice so you don't have to leave the wood out there, because I know that happens quite a bit when the wood freezes into the ice.
And bring a BFH.
Yes, the BFH, that'll take care. I have one of those in my truck, and I've used it to get things out quite often. I need one in the back of your truck.
A BFH can fix a lot of different problems you may run into.
Yes, I used it last. I use it all. You can't live without one on the ice because you're always banging something out there.
Yep, exactly.
And there is a YouTube video out there that Ron Shera, who is kind of a local celebrity, I would call him, right? He's a steward of the outdoors, and he put a video together that you can go search for on YouTube, and he talks a little bit about this stuff.
Cool.
Jason, do you want to talk about the ice break?
I can. I don't know. I think it's overblown.
It is. Like literally blown.
So Red Lake, which we talked about in the last show, the ice had formed on Red Lake, and people were pretty excited to get out there fishing, and it's been real windy, and so I think that's probably what happened here. Anyway, the way it got real windy, and what happens when it's real windy, at least what I think happens, is the ice shifts. And so sometimes what happens is the ice sheet will form a crack, and the ice will start sliding over the top of itself, which then makes a hole. And so in this case, some fisher people were on one side of the whole crack, and some people were on the other side of the crack. And one side was advantageous, and the other side was not. So some people had to be helped off of that. Nobody got hurt, not a big deal, but it sure made the news all over. And some people got a little excited and were calling 911, and I don't know. But they got them all off, and they made an ice bridge over a narrow part of the open water, and everyone was rescued, and pretty quickly. Nobody lost their stuff, I don't think. And just a reminder that, we talk about, and I think this is, to me, is maybe the point. We talk about ice thickness, You want a certain ice thickness to walk on the water or on the ice. But the wind on these big bodies of water, you really have to think about the wind. If it's been really windy, that wind is pushing down on that ice sheet and can cause cracks and can cause it to shift, even if it's locked up, depending on how thick the ice is. So if everybody remembers back that's been listening to the show a while, when we had Bro on, he talked about the wind pushing on the ice and creating a seiche, or this kind of ripple effect across the water that moves bait fish. So the same kind of philosophy, when that wind pushes hard on the ice, it creates a crack and can shift the ice even if it looks like it's locked up. It's just something to be aware of. You want to have your safety gear, you want to have your rope, you want to have your ice picks. You want to, probably in these early ice conditions, you don't want to be transversing it in dark unless you have really, really good lights. And you travel slowly enough if you're walking, I suppose. But even when we get to where people are pushing an envelope on sleds and wheelers, that you can see where you're going and especially as we start getting to some snow, if there was a crack overnight, skim ice form, snow on top of that, you got to just keep checking until it's really, really, we get some serious thickness on the ice. Just be safe.
Yep.
There. Sorry, I kind of went down a rabbit hole with that, but I was on a roll.
No, you're good. I do. When I look at this, the key thing is, yes, there was something that happened. There was a fair amount of people out there fishing. They got them off. Nobody got wet.
Yeah.
It was pretty mild, but every year everybody likes to report on the big, things like this. And I found in one article in the BBC, but it's the same story that everybody picks up.
It sounds dramatic, but they literally walked across a wooden bridge somebody made to get off. Like, they didn't even have to get the airboat out or anything, I don't think.
To me, it looked like somebody took a chunk of dock.
Yeah.
Like they just had a piece of dock on the shore, and they're like, oh, that'll go across the ice.
Yeah.
And they just walked across the dock, and that was it.
And I think it was good there was rescue standing by in case something went wrong with that plan. So I think that was good. There was some caution that was taken. And one of the resorts is I think, who assisted. And that's, we've talked about this, that's an advantage of going out of a resort and paying for that access is then you kind of have somebody there to help you out in the event of an issue, and they're going to do what they can to help keep you safe within reason. So,
one note that we talked about, and actually Jenny talked about this is on the south shore of the lake. In the north shore, people were fishing at this very time, so it wasn't the whole lake was like this. It was
correct.
Isolated to a place on the lake.
Yep.
All right. Well, Jason, speaking of our guest.
Yeah, let's get to that. That's why people really are listening. They can listen to 6 seasons of us rattling on, but Jenny, this is the only show we've had her on. So let's get to that interview with her.
Welcome to the Hardwater Fishing Show. Today we are excited to have on the girl of 10,000 lakes, Jenny Anderson. Jenny, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. I've been waiting for this day to be on the show with you.
Jenny is an outdoor content creator, blogger, and wife and mom. More often than not, you'll find her traveling and adventuring with Nick and Harlan and a pup named Kiwi.
And since then, we've added Juniper. So
oh, yeah. I saw some pictures.
I need to update that, my About Me section, I guess.
I actually thought the biggest thing about your introduction that we would like is it kind of related, because the first thing you said, there are a few places I'd rather be than canoeing in the Boundary Waters, which is one of Jason's favorite pastimes.
Favorite. Yeah, love it. Love it. I enjoy seeing your pictures on Instagram when you're up there.
Oh, it's the best. There's like no place like it.
There's not. It's hard to explain to people.
Yeah, you got to go. It's like a bucket list item for sure.
Yeah. Jason actually had, when he was 40, he had this goal of going to the Boundary Waters for like a month. Was it?
I did. It was vetoed by the Minister of Finance and War.
But you went for a really long time.
I did. I did 8 days up. Actually, not in the Boundary Waters. Went to Woodland Caribou Provincial Park in Canada.
Wow, that's practically more. Isn't it more rural than the Boundary Waters?
It is. In some ways, it is. In some ways, it isn't. Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's all that up north Canadian Shield kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like, the reason I love it so much is, like, obviously the fishing is just phenomenal. Like lake trout there's just like nothing like it. They get huge, especially in lakes that are really hard to portage onto. And ice fishing there is pretty fun. You can't bring any motorized things in, so that hand augering, it's a really great workout.
Have you ever ice fished for lake trout, Jenny?
I have, yes. Yeah. I did a winter camping trip in the Boundary Waters.
Oh,
maybe,
wonderful.
when was that? A couple years ago now.
Okay.
So we were out there on the lake with a hand auger. We each took turns because, man, that really takes it out of you. But it was like negative 10 degrees. So the heat was very welcomed from, sweating from augering. But yeah, the Lakers there, they weren't huge at the lake that we were at, but it was still, a delicious meal.
And they hit like a freight train, even the smaller ones.
They do. They're just
a
take your
blast.
line out. They fight. It's different.
Well, I'm not quite as adventurous as you two are. Someday, maybe. I actually have not been to the Boundary Waters, but Jason eventually will get there. But I do fish Mille Lacs Lake quite often, which is the other one that you mentioned here. So I'm there quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean that one's a lot closer. So you gotta love the lakes that are accessible. Like the Boundary Waters is amazing, and like I would go there like every weekend if I could. But it's like it's a haul to get there. And Mille Lacs, it's so close to the cities, and that's pretty much why I love it. It was like my first real experience ice fishing was Mille Lacs. Basically, when I truly fell in love with it was that lake, because it's like an hour and a half from us. It has some of the biggest walleyes out there. And yes, the regulations are strict, but it is just such an amazing thing to be able to catch fish that are that big and to let them go. Like I would never want to keep a walleye that big. So I'm happy to let it go and let it grow.
So we have a few questions we wanted to walk through today. First one, how did you become Girl of 10,000 Lakes?
I wasn't always this outdoorsy girl of all these lakes who likes to traverse the lakes in the wintertime and canoe in the summertime. I didn't really grow up doing those things, and definitely was more of like a city slicker. Like grew up in the suburbs, like loved, going to Minneapolis and like hanging out with my friends, like at the Mall of America. And like, think of like a typical like Twin Cities suburb high schooler, that's pretty much what I did. Was none of the outdoorsy stuff, but rather trying to fit in and like do things my friends did. And that just didn't happen to be in that outdoor space. But like once I went to college, I was definitely exposed to like more different kinds of people. I branched out more, and eventually I majored in broadcast journalism. Ended up getting a job in news reporting at a TV station in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So that's sort of a more like outdoor oriented area of Wisconsin. Just lots of access. I mean, the Midwest, you have access to a lot of great places, but there were hunting opportunities and fishing opportunities. So I was covering all these stories about regulations related to fishing and ice fishing and hunting and all sorts of things. So that was like my first time really like asking the questions about like, what is this activity? And like, why do people do it? And why are they so passionate about it? And that sort of piqued my interest. And eventually I met my significant other, Nick, and he like wanted to take me ice fishing on a date one day. And he was sort of, he was buying his first auger when I was with him and like really investing into this sport for the first time too. So he took me out and we went ice fishing on a Lake Eau Claire was what it was called. It's like, it's like a really, I want to say that there's a lot of Amish people in that community. So like whenever I went there, it was to cover news stories related to like the Amish population, which was really interesting. So like we're in the middle of nowhere ice fishing on Lake Eau Claire, and the flag went up, and it was my first interaction with a walleye through a tip up, and Nick let me, basically pull the line up, and he kind of helped me out, but eventually I was able to get it out, and it was like a nice 28-inch walleye.
Wow.
And he was like, this is like, wow, this is not normal. I was like, are you sure? This is great. Like,
well, I caught one. I mean,
exactly. It's awesome. Like a fish of a lifetime. And I didn't know that at the time. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm really good at this, I guess. And that sort of just hooked me into the whole thing. And after that, like really, we got into it together, and and went ice fishing like basically every weekend, every moment that we had a chance. Like I said, I was doing broadcast journalism, reporting and doing a lot of videography. So I like had all this gear to take photos. So I was already just sort of capturing the moments where these fun things were happening, and I was catching fish for the first time and photographing it and sharing it with my friends and family. And it just kind of snowballed from there to share it with more people. And I remember my parents were like, "Who are you?" Like, we never envisioned you doing these sort of things. And they were surprised. And so were a lot of my friends. And, it's just never too late to discover that passion. You can be super young and discover it early on, or, be really old and suddenly just have this urge to explore the outdoors. And I'm glad I discovered it when I was, in my 20s, I guess. And now I have the rest of my life to really hone in on those skills and share that passion with my kids now. So that's kind of, I guess, the long story of Girl of 10,000 Lakes and how that came to be.
I have two daughters, and the message, it's good to have the message that young women and women can get involved in the outdoor sports and enjoy fishing and enjoy hunting and doing those things. And so it's good that they have role models like you out there doing this and enjoying it. And I just think that's great to have that, because there is a constant, it's less maybe than it was when I was a kid, but there's still that undercurrent of, these aren't activities that women do, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah,
and so
totally.
I'm glad that you're involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, when I got started, I didn't know any women. Like, that was, maybe almost 10 years ago now. So I had no connection to any women friends who did these things. And it always felt like I was tagging along with my husband and his guy friends. And like, I was always just, trying to squeeze my way into these guys' weekends and like that. It's because those are the people that were there, and I was not like trying to take away from their camaraderie, but thankfully they're like totally welcoming and invited me, and like, never judged me and that sort of thing. They thought it was cool that I was so curious about ice fishing and hunting and that sort of thing. But now, fast forward, I love that social media has made it so like evident there are women who are so passionate about being outdoors and doing the activities and like educating themselves on like, how to do it well. So thank goodness for those connections I've made through social media. It can be like a dangerous thing where like you're just like so sucked into social media and like influenced by these high expectations and wanting more things and all that, the best gear and all that stuff. But ultimately it's led me to like tons of friendships, women that I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for like Instagram or YouTube or any of that.
Yeah. And if they're going to get sucked into an activity, fishing is a good one. And being outdoors is a good one.
Totally. Yeah. I know there are worse vices in life. And
absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
It's not many that can be as expensive, however, but
and it doesn't have to be expensive.
It does not.
Yeah.
It does not.
It is great. Yeah, it's very accessible, especially ice fishing. That's why I love ice fishing is, you don't need a boat. You don't need, you don't necessarily need a snowmobile or any of that. You can walk onto the ice. You don't need a Vexilar. Like I didn't have a Vexilar for a really long time. And like, I did everything by hand and just like figuring out where the bottom of the lake is and like digging from there and doing it the old fashioned way, I guess. And then I remember like one Christmas, we were looking into Vexilars. We're like, what is this device? It seems like something that everyone has. Should we get one? And so we like put it on our Christmas list, and like we're just like totally stunned. Like, I can't believe people have been cheating this whole time with these things.
Cheating up.
I know, that's what it felt like. Like we discovered this like cheat code. Yeah, I love ice fishing. It's just like totally a thing that anyone can do. You don't even need like a fancy rod. Have a stick with like some line on it and you can just jig and you'll catch something.
That's cool. So what's your favorite style of ice fishing? Like if you in a house, mobile, tip ups, what's your go-to?
It's totally evolved through the times, but like now I have kids, I love just cozy comfortable ice fishing now. Like, I love having a warm, hard-sided fish house with safety covers on my, ice fishing holes so my kids can roam around and we can leisurely fish together, and like time is not of the essence. We can like stay overnight. We can have activities and cook food and take naps and fish while we're doing all that stuff. So that is definitely my vibe these days, the slowed down, more relaxed version. And I feel like a lot of parents like come to that point where they're like, okay, if I want to be able to enjoy this outdoor activity that I've been so passionate about for all these years, like I need to make some adjustments and make this more comfortable for the whole family to be able to do this together.
That makes a lot of sense. And the hard-sided ice shacks make that easier than ever to do.
It's changed the way we fish. Like, yeah, we used to hole hop a lot and we used to be able to catch lots of great fish that way. But the memories that we're creating now by having our kids out there with us, it's like, it's priceless compared to, what we used to experience. I mean, what we used to experience just when it was my husband and I was like phenomenal, like the kinds of fish we would catch. But like this is on a whole nother level to be able to share that with our kids.
Yeah, and I know I have a hard-sided shack too, and Jason has fished in it before, but that was one of the reasons why I got it too, was not everybody in my family is as passionate about ice fishing as I am, right? And some of the ice fishing we do is pretty extreme. You go on a snowmobile below zero and portable shacks, and it's really cold and a lot of work, and you get into a hard-sided shack and it becomes more fun or more accessible to a lot of people. I have a teenage daughter who, ice fishing isn't really her thing right now. She's a teenager and it's not always what she wants to do. But, to come into the hard-sided shack where there's a TV and an oven and games to play and, those kinds of things while you fish, it really makes a difference and makes it more accessible to more people.
It makes memories.
Exactly. Yeah. I think people have this misconception that, ice fishing is sitting on a bucket outside, freezing your buns off and like catching a buzz or whatever, But then I invite friends who have never ice fished before into our fish house where it's like, I keep it like 75 degrees and there's jazz music in the background and I have a charcuterie board and like there's a candle lit and here's a glass of wine as you're walking in,
Jeff, you need to up your game a little bit. I do not recall a charcuterie board and I do not recall wine or jazz music.
But
Stinky Feet and you and Crocs and an old pizza is about the best it gets in there.
But you did drive up like 5 hours from Iowa, and there's an ice shack with holes drilled that was ready to fish. Yeah,
and I think I might have taken a Prius too.
Yes, and it was heated. Nice. It was heated. So yes.
So you're right. I apologize. I was too harsh.
But I'll get a nice nice wine next time.
Thank you.
Red or
nice
white?
A nice red.
Red wine. Okay, I'll get some red wine for you.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? We usually have pizza and Crocs on as well. So.
Honestly, Crocs in a wheelhouse are kind of required because the floor still gets kind of wet, sometimes, and you need something on some kind of footwear.
Indoor shoes, yeah.
Stick your indoor shoes.
All right. What's your favorite fish to target? Oh, and advice for catching them.
I'm definitely a multi-species kind of gal. Probably walleye. I feel like, it's pretty amazing when you can catch a huge walleye. And when you catch smaller ones, they're great eaters. So like it's the best of both worlds to be able to like see a fish that big. And like Mille Lacs, I think I said this in the beginning, but it's just been such an interesting lake for us because when we first started fishing it, like it was during the overnight hours. That was my favorite time to fish. The night bite was so amazing there. And I feel like the rattle reels, when the jingling goes off, like my heart would just like stop and like it felt like grab my glasses, like put in my contacts, whatever I need to do to be able to like see real quick. And the hole is like frozen over. So it's like, oh, now I'm like chipping away at the ice. And because we had a pretty what's it called? One of those fish houses that wasn't a fish house before. It was like a converted fish house.
Yeah, it was a little trailer, right? I saw pictures of that. What'd you call that?
Retro.
It
had
a
retro
name.
Camper.
You had a name for it.
Little hot dish.
Little hot dish. There you go.
Yeah, so it was definitely not meant to be a fish house. So the insulation wasn't quite there. So the holes would always freeze over all the time. And so we'd be targeting walleye, and at night the bell would go off and like we'd be chipping away at the ice. And I remember this one time, I had the walleye. It was like I could see its head, but like the ice was just like not cracking. So my husband was boiling water because we didn't want to like auger because we might, hit the cut the line. So he's boiling water, and we're pouring boiling water down this ice hole, trying to thaw it out. And we did. Like I was just holding on to it for dear life as it was like fighting, and we were able to just shimmy its head up a little bit, that its like gills like went out, and like then it couldn't go down anymore. So we were able to like wiggle it out of there. And it was like this ridiculous 30-inch walleye. And
Wow.
I was so happy that he like boiled the water and stuff, because that was the best fishing we ever experienced. And never have I caught a fish that big since then, especially on Mille Lacs. I feel like it's changed a little bit, but that is my favorite kind of fish to catch. And I feel like my advice would be just to have the lines in for as long as you can. Like that's what's proven to work for us, is just making sure there's always a line in there, and making sure there's always a lively minnow on there. And just jigging it when you can. And even at night, making sure those lines are in there too, and waking up and not feeling like, oh, I want a good night of sleep tonight. Like, who cares? Just have those rattle reels there and wake up and catch that phenomenal fish.
There's something about you're half asleep and you just hear one bell go ding.
Yeah.
So it's just like, which one? Which hole?
Yeah, which one? That's cool. So how do you hook your minnows when you put them on your rattle reels?
Usually on the back. I'm trying to remember. I usually do it on the like in front of the back fin.
Okay.
I know everyone has their method. I've seen it like through the head and whatever, but I feel like if I get it just right at the tip of the, like in front of the fin, it has the wiggle still and is still in there. Yeah, in there good.
Can swim around, yeah. Okay, cool. Very cool.
So we started talking a little bit about this new ice shack. I saw you called it your dream fish house. So tell me a little bit about your fish house that you fish out of now. I know you mentioned a little bit, but what are some details that you did differently versus kind of your first one that was maybe a little more rustic?
The first one, totally rustic, which I was thankful to have anything hard-sided at that point in my life, and we got it off of Craigslist. Now, the second one, it was after we like brought our new family of 4. Like Junie was born, and like 2 weeks later, we were in our little hot dish on Minnetonka fishing, and I realized like this is really tight. Like there's no room for anything. Like no one can move if you want to fish in here together. So we started looking into just getting a regular fish house, one that's reliable and insulated. I work with Camping World. They're one of my sponsors, and they do have a lot of fish houses and used fish houses as well. And we kind of worked out this contract where we would promote about their ice fishing sales and just what they offer for ice fishing and in camping in general. So it was great. We were able to work together, and I got this used fish house from them. And one thing I like really wanted was to be able to have enough beds for our family. So we added some extra jackknife beds. So now everyone has a bed. We can even fit like one guest if we want to. It's got the space for we have like a luggable loo. So we have a luggable loo in the closet. So if you have to go potty, you go in there. I'm trying to think what else. It's got the TV and the oven and all that stuff. But the best part about it is the exterior. It's like this teal and sort of a wood facade. So it looks kind of retro, but kind of modern at the same time. And we got the wrapping done by Studio Wraps in Brainerd area, and it was just so awesome that they also like I reached out to them, was like, oh, is there a way that we can make this happen? And so we worked together, and now it's like something that really stands out every time I'm on Mille Lacs or wherever. Like people are like, hey, like there she goes. Like I saw you on Highway 35 today, blah, blah, blah. So it's been kind of funny to see like who recognizes it.
Yeah, it's definitely different because, I mean, my wheelhouse would blend in with the rest of them, right? I mean, it's all they kind of, I don't want to say they all look the same, but they kind of do. But yours definitely stands out with that wrap on it. It definitely looks different.
Yeah, it's similar to the Little Hot Dish because the Little Hot Dish we painted white and then like a pink line in the middle, sort of a retro look, and then teal on the bottom. So we kind of wanted to pay, ode to that. And ultimately what I really wanted, my dream fish house would be to have like that retro look of a fish house,
Sure.
like the canned ham style, but have it be new, modern, like newly made and I've been like so passionate about that idea that I've reached out to fish house companies before and said like, how can we make this mold so like everyone can get a retro fish house like me?
Sure.
Which is not an easy thing to do, but I don't know. It's in my like someday dreams, maybe. Like if I, can have like a dream job, maybe it would be to have retro fish houses for everyone.
I think that's a great dream. I mean,
isn't it fun? Because then
why
you
not?
can use it while you're actually camping in the summer. Like it would look like a camper versus like an ice house that's being used in the summer.
Bring some color back to all the RV parks, away from the white and the gray and
mine's tan.
Tan, taupe,
whatever. Yes.
Neutral. Yes.
Yeah, neutral. There you go. I have about an 8 box of crayons when it comes to colors. So. All right. So Jeff, I'm going to ask her one question that's not in your list. What's your favorite way to, I am always, what's your favorite way to prepare walleye?
Okay. So it's the same way that I usually prepare trout. It's with like this brown sugar marinade. So it's like brown sugar, soy sauce, and ginger powder. Trying to think what else. Rice vinegar, and you kind of let it marinate for a little bit, and you can pan fry it, and it like caramelizes all together, and you put it on top of like rice with a little bit of greens, spinach, something like that, some radishes, avocado, some sesame seeds. Like I like to put a little kimchi in there because I'm Korean. Like I love kimchi. A little spice, so it's like a bowl. But it's delicious. Yeah. Try it with trout, try it with walleye. It's so good.
So we're going to need a recipe for that. If you don't mind.
I'll send it.
Is that shareable?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not like a secret recipe.
No, I think, and I don't know where, I think maybe on Instagram or something, I saw you preparing something very different than what I'm used to. And I think that's great because, I have about 3 ways I know how to cook walleye. So I'm always looking for something else.
And I love fried walleye, especially in like tacos. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little bit of pico de gallo. And I feel like there's so many different ways to eat it. But I definitely like lots of flavor.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So I'm gonna have to try that if you'd be so kind as to share the recipe.
You got it.
Okay, so now we're finally to one of the main reasons we wanted to have you on. So we eventually got there.
Sorry.
No, this is perfect. This has been great.
That we want to know the whole story because I think it helps build context for what this is. So you wrote a book.
Yeah.
So tell us about your book.
Yeah. So this is how I met you, is when I was out at the St. Paul ice fishing show and I was selling my book there. 123 Ice Fishing. It's to teach the littlest anglers about ice fishing. It's a board book. So if you have little ones, they love those like thick board books with the lift the flaps. That's exactly what this is. And it kind of goes through the basic ice fishing gear, your auger, your fish finder, your rods, the bait bucket, that sort of thing, your sled. And it follows the mom and the baby bear like through the day as they go ice fishing, and you get to see like what sort of fish they see under the ice. So you'll see like walleye, northern pike, bass, crappie, bluegill, perch, some of our favorite fish here in Minnesota. And it's very realistic the way the pictures are drawn. My sister was the illustrator, so it was so fun to work with her and just to be able to make this happen. But I wrote it because I wanted to teach my son about ice fishing, and there were no books out there. I mean, there were a few like that touched on ice fishing, but nothing that really talked about the kinds of fish and like the gear and something that was more relatable to what we were actually doing on the ice.
Sure.
So I wrote this book at the peak of the pandemic when like I was really looking for something to do creatively, much like you too, probably.
Yep.
Like you launched your podcast, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And everyone was trying to find something to do. And like I wrote a book, which was great. And it really took off and people loved it. And so it's back again this year. It's a great little book for kids ages, baby up to probably like age 5, 6, when they're like trying to figure out words and counting 1 to 10.
It's a great book to read while you're waiting for the rail reel to go off.
Yes, exactly. Bring it
With
on
your
the ice
kids.
with you.
This
And
is
your
what we're
kids
doing.
they'll see like, oh yeah, that was a walleye or that was a northern pike, and like they can connect the pictures to the real life thing, which is like the coolest thing to witness.
Part of our timing and wanting to have you on is we're coming up to Christmas. If you have little people in your life and you're looking for a really cool gift, how do they find your book?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon right now. So if you search 123 Ice Fishing on Amazon,
Perfect.
You'll find it there. Otherwise, if you want to order it directly through me, it's 123icefishing.com. And I will create a little promo code for you guys. So it'll just be hard water ice fishing. What would be the best?
Probably HWFS. Can we do that one?
That's okay, HWFS, and that'll give you 15% off. So
wow.
You can use that on 123icefishing.com. So yeah, definitely check it out. I feel like kids love it, but adults love it too, because they're like, oh, this is something I can read to my grandkids. It's so cool to see like grandparents taking their kids on the ice and like reading this to them, because it's like, how can I share this passion with like my kids and my grandkids? Well, this book is a great way without like having to put their fingers on hooks or anything like that. It's a book they can even like chew on. I feel like babies are
well, it's perfect for Jeff then too.
Hey.
Yes. Exactly. So it's been really fun to see just the feedback, and I hope you check it out.
Oh, we will. I actually have a nephew that I don't want to say because I don't want to ruin the surprise.
He's probably not listening to our podcast.
You think maybe, you never know.
You're right.
He could be.
How old is he?
Garrett, 5.
He's okay. 5. Yeah.
I hope he's 5. God, I hope he's
podcast
not,
guy.
I hope he's not 6. I might have screwed that up. I don't know. He's he's this tall.
Well,
don't feel bad.
For this.
I called my youngest 12 the other day. He's like, Dad, I'm only 11. I'm like, oops.
Oh,
oops. Wrong
well,
page.
Time flies.
I know. Time flies. So he's almost 12.
Any plans for any other books in the works?
Yeah. And I've been saying this for a while now, because I feel like when I wrote this book in 2020, like the first question people would ask was, do you have any other books in the works? And I'd say,
Sure.
yeah, I do. And I'm still saying, yeah, I do, but I haven't actually produced it. So I'm working on 123 Camping and 123 Cabin, but we'll see when that actually comes out. I have it written. I just haven't like actually done the work of putting it together with an illustrator yet.
That's awesome. 123 BWCA.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen ABC, BWCA, like that's out there.
Oh, okay.
Which is really cool too. But yeah, 123, hopefully they wouldn't think I'm taking their idea.
Anything we forgot to ask you about?
Let me think.
I saw you had an article in your blog on your website about what to wear when fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But I know and we've talked a little bit about this on the show before, but women's winter clothing can be a little more challenging. A lot of stuff is made for guys. What do you recommend for women ice fishing? Do you have any recommendations for that?
Ooh, for all the guys searching for that perfect Christmas present for their
There you
mom.
go.
Yeah, I feel like women are always kind of left in the dust when it comes to ice fishing clothing. But it's gotten better for sure. And okay, I'll first say, like, you don't need to wear like special ice fishing gear to go ice fishing. You can wear whatever you want. Like, just be warm and make sure you're like well insulated. If it's early ice, make sure you have your ice picks, and even consider wearing a like flotation device. Like, you're going to look really silly, but having a life jacket on is better than risking your life and dying. So like wear a little, life jacket underneath your coat if you need to, if it's early ice. But if you can, ice fishing suits are amazing because a lot of them come with the Flotex technology. So my favorite one is DSG. They're based in Madison, so here in the Midwest, and they design ice fishing clothing for women by women, and like the fit is phenomenal. Like they think of sizes like XX small all the way to like 5X large. So the range is huge and it's really tailored to every woman's body and comes in fun colors, and it's functional, comfortable, lightweight, like all the things that you would want when you're on the ice moving around and all that stuff. And that didn't exist, not too long ago. So it's pretty cool to see just the things that they've produced and that I'm wearing today. I love it a lot, and definitely feel good about putting in a plug for them because they're just that good.
There again with daughters, anytime you try to buy outdoor stuff for them, it's like hiking boots, all that stuff. I mean, it's gotten better, but it has been a challenge. So
for sure, there's that saying like shrink it and pink it or whatever. And a lot of companies used to do that, but I'm glad they're steering away from that. And many of these ice fishing companies now have like women designers on board, and they're taking feedback of real women to make suits that will fill this void.
All right. Well, if you think of anything else, let us know. Or if you ever want to come back on, if you got something you're working on and you'd like to come back on, we'd sure love to have you. What's interesting with our show is we do get a lot of, like, we have a core Minnesota, but we tend to go out east too quite a bit. We have some listeners that are out in that Maine and up north that kind of cultivated a little following up that way too with some folks. So Wyoming, Utah. Yeah, we've kind of broadened a little bit with some of that. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I always forget that they ice fish up there, and like once in a while I get book orders from like Maine and that area, and then as well as like even Hawaii. Like sometimes I get orders from there.
Wow.
Do you even know what ice fishing is? I don't know.
We, kind of fun. We were way back. This is what, season 1 or 2, Jeff?
Yep.
We were looking at back when we were brand new. You're always like scoping out to see who's listening to you and where they're from and all that on the metrics. And we had a listener from South Korea. We're like, what the heck? So we talked about it on the show. We're like, whoever in South Korea, reach out. We want to know why you're listening to our show, who you are. When he was a Wisconsin kid.
Yeah.
And he was over there in the military.
Oh.
And so he was ice fishing for trout up in the mountains over there. Sent us a picture. So it was pretty cool. It's kind of reaffirming about, doing the show. Here's this kid over there in the military, and he can listen to the show and kind of get transported back home, kind of that with listening to what's going on. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, they have one of the biggest ice fishing tournaments in South Korea. Like, it's a huge one. And I would love to go there someday and just check that out, just because I was born there. I was born in South Korea. So just to be able to go back and like take part in something that like I learned about here in the US would be such a cool experience. That's definitely a bucket list item for me.
That is really cool. That would be really neat.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that, I bet there's probably little people at your house that are sleeping or should be. So
Yep, they are sleeping. They went to bed. I mean, yeah, you would know if they were awake. Like, they would be like, mom, like, what is this?
Your husband's probably like, is she ever coming out of there?
Oh yeah, no, I would come out and he would be mad at me probably.
All right. Well, you take care of yourself and best of luck in your endeavors.
Thank you for having me on. Like, this was so fun, and I hope we can chat again.
Well, we really want to thank Jenny for coming on and sharing her story. Her legend, which was kind of told there in the middle of our interview with her, was great. Just that image of that fish with its head up through the ice and the gills sticking out. I mean, that's awesome.
I know.
That was a really, really good story. We really want to thank her for sharing that. We'll put a link to her book on our website with a coupon code that she gave us, which is pretty cool. I don't think we've ever anybody give us a coupon code before, have we?
It's our first coupon code, Jason.
How crazy is that? So I think if you have little people in your life, man, get them a book. It'd be awesome. And you got to get them books anyway, right? I mean, you should.
Look at the ice fishing one.
You might as well get an ice fishing one. Absolutely. So start them young. So anyway, want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Tight lines.
Cheers.
5.
You've been listening to the Hard Water Fishing Show with Jeff and Jason.
Say goodbye.
One of the most unique podcasts on the planet, where we talk about tactics, gear, and ice fishing legends. We'll be back soon.
Bye-bye.
Till then, signing off.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.